know what's worse than being stuck outside during a thunderstorm? Being stuck inside during one. And you know what's even worse than that? Realizing you're not alone. So grab your blanket, lock your doors, and whatever you do, don't look out the window. Because today, we're diving into 3 thunderstorm horror stories that'll make you question every single shadow, every creak, and every flash of lightning. Let's get into it. Story number 1. The Weather App. 23-year-old Marcus had one rule when living alone. Always check the weather app before bed. Sounds paranoid. Maybe. But when you live in Tornado Alley, you learn to respect Mother Nature real quick. One Tuesday night in April, his phone buzzed with a severe thunderstorm warning. Nothing unusual. Happens every other week in Oklahoma. He closed all the windows, unplugged his electronics like a responsible adult, and settled into bed with his laptop to binge some shows. Around 1 a.m., the storm hit. And I'm not talking about some cute little drizzle with mood lighten. This was the kind of storm that makes you wonder if you accidentally angered a weather god. Thunder so loud, it felt like someone was dropping bowling balls on the roof. Lightning turning night into day every 3 seconds. The works. Marcus was halfway through an episode when his phone lit up with another notification. Weather app. Except this time, the alert was weird. It read, severe weather alert. Take shelter immediately. Basement recommended. Do not look outside. Estimated time, 47 minutes. 47 minutes? That's oddly specific for a storm warning. And do not look outside? Since when do weather apps give behavioral advice? Marcus figured it was some kind of glitch. Maybe the emergency broadcast system was having a stroke. But something about that message made his skin crawl. He tried to go back to his show. Couldn't focus. That notification kept gnawing at him. Against his better judgment, because of course, he pulled back his bedroom curtain just a crack, just a tiny peek. What he saw made his blood run cold. Standing in his backyard, completely still in the pouring rain, was a figure, tall, impossibly tall, and it was facing his window, not moving, not even flinching as lightning illuminated. It's him? Her? Marcus couldn't tell. The figure wore what looked like a soaked hoodie, head tilted at an angle that made his neck hurt just looking at it. Marcus dropped the curtain so fast he nearly ripped it off the rod. His hands were shaking, heart pounding like it was trying to escape his chest. He grabbed his phone to call 911, but another notification popped up. Same weather app. 29 minutes remaining. Do not engage. Stay inside. 29 minutes. It had only been like 5 minutes since the first alert. What kind of countdown was this? Marcus did what any rational person would do. He grabbed a baseball bat, locked his bedroom door, and barricaded himself in his closet like he was preparing for the apocalypse. For the next half hour, he listened to the storm rage outside while checking his phone obsessively. The weather app kept updating. 15 minutes, 8 minutes, 3 minutes. And then, at exactly 1:47 a.m., everything stopped. The rain, the thunder, the lightning just stopped, like someone hit a pause button on reality. His phone buzzed one final time. All clear. Weather event concluded. Stay safe. Marcus waited another 20 minutes before leaving his closet. He checked every room, every window, every lock. Nothing was disturbed. No signs of entry. No footprints in the mud outside his window. The figure was gone. Here's the kicker though. The next morning, he checked his weather app's history. No severe weather warnings for that night. No alerts. Nothing. He even called the local news station to ask if they'd issued any emergency broadcasts. They said the storm was mild, barely noteworthy. Marcus moved out 3 weeks later. And before you ask, yes, he deleted that weather app. Some warnings aren't meant to be ignored. Others aren't meant to exist at all. Still with me? Good. Because if you thought a mysterious weather app was unsettling, wait until you hear about what happened to a woman who made the mistake of answering her door. And listen, I know what you're thinking. Don't answer the door during a storm. That's horror movie 101. Yeah, well, tell that to someone who's been socially conditioned their entire life to be polite. Spoiler alert, politeness almost got her killed. Story number 2, The Good Samaritan. 36-year-old Jessica prided herself on being a helper. The kind of person who'd hold doors open, let people merge in traffic, return shopping carts to the corral, even when it's inconvenient. So when someone knocked on her door at 11 p.m. during a Category 2 thunderstorm, her first instinct wasn't fear, it was concern. She lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood where people actually waved at each other. Crime wasn't really a thing. So when she heard that desperate knocking, rapid, panicked, urgent, her gut told her someone needed help. Jessica checked the peephole. On her porch stood a woman, maybe late 20s, absolutely drenched. Her hair was plastered to her face, mascara running down her cheeks, and she was clutching her arms like she was freezing. Behind her, lightning split the sky in half. "Please," the woman shouted through the door. "My car broke down. I need to call someone. My phone's dead." Classic horror movie setup, right? Except Jessica wasn't some naive teenager in a slasher film. She was a grown woman with pepper spray in her pocket and a very large German shepherd named Bruno sleeping in the living room. She cracked the door open, chain still on, and told the woman she'd make the call for her. Safe distance, smart move. But here's where things got weird. The woman's expression didn't change. No relief, no gratitude. Just this blank stare that made Jessica's helper instincts immediately switch to survival mode. "I really just need to come inside," the woman said. Not "thank you," not "that would be great," just "I need to come inside." The tone was flat, mechanical, wrong. Jessica's hand tightened on the pepper spray. "I'll call someone for you, but I can't let you in. What's your emergency contact?" The woman tilted her head slowly, and when the next lightning flash hit, Jessica saw something that made her stomach drop. The woman wasn't wet. Not really. Her hair looked damp, sure, but there were no droplets rolling off her, no puddles forming at her feet. She was standing in a torrential downpour, but it was like the rain was just passing through her. "Let me in," the woman repeated. Same flat tone. "Let me in. Let me in." Over and over. Monotone. Robotic. Jessica slammed the door and locked it. Her hands were shaking so bad she could barely get the deadbolt to turn. The knocking started again. Harder this time. More aggressive. Bang, bang, bang. Then it moved to the windows. The back door. Every entry point being tested, one by one. Bruno started barking like he'd lost his mind. That dog had never been aggressive a day in his life, but he was now snarling at the front door like he was possessed. Jessica called 911. And while she waited, the knocking continued. Windows, doors, always the same pattern, always methodical. The police arrived 15 minutes later. Felt like 15 hours. And when they checked the property, there was nothing. No woman, no car, no footprints, nothing. The officers gave her that look. You know the one. The "Mom, have you been drinking" look. But here's the thing that still haunts Jessica to this day. One of the officers found something on her back porch. A small, waterlogged notebook. Inside were dozens of addresses, all in her neighborhood, all marked with either a check or an X. Jessica's address had an X next to it. She asked the officers what the check marks meant. They didn't answer. They just told her to keep her doors locked and call if she saw anything else. Jessica moved 3 months later. Didn't even wait to sell the house. Just packed up and left. And before you ask, no, the police never followed up about that notebook. Funny how that works. Okay, so we've covered mysterious weather apps and door-knocking nightmares. But what about when the danger isn't trying to get in? It's already there. Because our final story takes place entirely inside one house during one storm, with one family who learned the hard way that sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's outside. It's what's been hiding in plain sight all along. And real quick, before we get into it, if you're enjoying these stories, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. More nightmare fuel coming your way every week. Now, let's finish this. Story number 3, The Recording. The Patterson family had lived in their 2-story farmhouse for 6 years without incident. Mom, Dad, 2 kids, Emma, 14, and Kyle, 10. Normal family, normal life. Then they installed a Ring doorbell camera. You know, for security. Because apparently, irony is a thing. 3 weeks after installation, a massive thunderstorm rolled through their rural Montana property. Power went out around 9 p.m., which wasn't unusual. They had flashlights, board games, the whole cozy family bonding experience. By 10:30, the kids were in bed, and the parents were reading by candlelight, like it was the 1800s. Around midnight, the power flickered back on. The kids were asleep. House was quiet. Mr. Patterson got up to blow out the candles when his phone buzzed. Ring notification. Motion detected at front door. He pulled up the app, expecting to see a branch that had fallen, or maybe a deer. Rural Montana, you know. Animals are constantly triggering these things. But what he saw made him grab his wife's arm so hard she yelled. The footage showed their front door from that evening. Timestamp, 6:47 p.m. Hours before the storm even started. In the video, someone walked up to their door. Someone in a yellow raincoat, face hidden by the hood. The figure stood there for a moment, then reached out and tested the doorknob. Locked, thankfully. Then the figure walked away, disappearing off camera. Did someone try to break in? Mrs. Patterson whispered. Mr. Patterson was about to call the police when another notification came through. Motion detected a back door. Same timestamp, 6:47 p.m. The figure in the yellow raincoat was now at their back door, testing that knob too, also locked. The figure stood there for a moment, then walked away. A third notification. Side door, 6:47 p.m. Then the basement window, then the garage. Every single entry point to their house, being tested one by one, all stamped at 6:47 p.m. But here's the disturbing part. The Pattersons had been home at 6:47 p.m. All of them, sitting in the living room watching TV. "Why didn't the doorbell ring?" Mrs. Patterson asked. "Good question. Great question, actually. The doorbell was supposed to chime when motion was detected. It had been working fine all day, but somehow, during those specific moments, it had stayed silent." Mr. Patterson scrolled through more notifications. There were dozens, all from that evening, all between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m., all showing the same figure in the yellow raincoat, circling their house over and over like they were looking for a way in. And the figure never triggered the doorbell. Not once. Then Mr. Patterson noticed something else. Something worse. In the background of one video, the one from the back door camera, he could see through the kitchen window. And in that window, clear as day, was the reflection of his family sitting in the living room. All four of them. But there was also someone else, a fifth person, standing in the corner of the living room, watching them. Someone in a yellow raincoat. Mrs. Patterson started shaking. "That's not possible. We were alone. There was no one." Another notification interrupted her live feed. Current time, 12:17 a.m. Front door camera. The figure in the yellow raincoat was back, standing on their porch right now. But this time, they were holding something. Mr. Patterson zoomed in on his phone screen. It was a key. Their key. The spare they kept under the ceramic frog by the flower bed. The figure inserted the key into the lock. The deadbolt clicked. The door handle turned. And the camera feed went black. Mr. Patterson grabbed his phone to call 911, but the call wouldn't go through. No service. None of their phones had service. He ran to check on the kids. Both were still asleep, thank God. He locked their doors from the outside and told his wife to barricade themselves in the master bedroom. For the next 3 hours, they sat in silence, listening, waiting. They heard footsteps downstairs, slow, methodical, moving room to room. Then the footsteps started coming up the stairs, one step at a time. Creak, creak, creak. The footsteps stopped outside their bedroom door. The handle jiggled, then stopped, then jiggled again. Then nothing. Silence. When the sun came up, Mr. Patterson finally opened the door. The house looked normal, nothing disturbed, no signs of entry. The front door was still locked from the inside, chain on and everything. He checked the Ring app. No footage from overnight. The cameras had all mysteriously stopped recording at 12:17 a.m. and didn't start again until 6 a.m. But when they went downstairs, they found something on their kitchen table. The spare key, placed neatly in the center. Next to it was a note written in shaky handwriting. Wrong family. Sorry. The Pattersons moved out within the week. The house has been on the market for 8 months now. No one's bought it. Can't imagine why. All right, that's 3 Thunderstorm horror stories that'll make you think twice before trusting your weather app, answering your door, or installing security cameras. If these stories kept you up at night, mission accomplished. Hit that like button if you want more nightmare fuel. Subscribe if you haven't already. And drop a comment telling me which story messed you up the most. Was it the weather app countdown, the door-knocking entity? Or the family who learned their security system was recording way more than they wanted to see? Stay safe out there. Lock your doors, charge your phones, and whatever you do when a storm rolls through, maybe just keep the lights on. You'll thank me later. Until next time, stay scared.